Imagine this. You're 8 months pregnant with twins, alone in a glass-walled penthouse high over the city. There's blood on the marble floor, pain ripping through your body, and a silence inside your belly where there should be tiny kicks. You call the man who vowed to love and protect you, and he tells you you're being dramatic before hanging up to get back to his champagne and investors. That was Olivia Parker's reality. What her husband didn't know was that the man who would show up for her that night, the man who would hold her hand when she woke up, guard her in court, become the father her children deserved, was the one person he hated most in the world, his billionaire rival. This is a story about betrayal and survival, about how a single night can burn your life to ashes, and how you can still build something better and truer from what's left. Rain drummed against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Seattle penthouse, turning the city lights into blurred streaks of gold. Inside, the condo was quiet. Too quiet. Olivia Parker stood in the kitchen, one hand braced on the marble countertop, the other pressed to the huge curve of her belly. 32 weeks pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl. The babies who had turned her nausea-filled, swollen ankle months into something she kept telling herself was worth it. The pain hit again. Sharp, twisting, a hot fist clamping down low in her abdomen. She gasped, knees buckling, and when she looked down, there was a dark red stain spreading across the front of her white maternity dress. For a second, her mind refused to understand. Then the fear slammed in. No, 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 no! She grabbed her phone with trembling fingers and hit Ryan's call icon. His smiling photo from their wedding in Napa popped up. 4 years and a whole lifetime ago. The phone rang and rang and rang. On the 4th ring, he picked up. Liv? What? I told you I'm in the middle of the presentation. There it was, that edge in his voice, the one that turned her into a problem to be managed instead of a person to be loved. Ryan, she gasped. Something's wrong. I'm 32 weeks. The twins, I can't feel them. There's blood everywhere. You need to come home. Please. In the background, she could hear clinking glasses, murmurs of conversation, a low hum of expensive laughter. The investor party for his Singapore expansion deal, the night he'd been talking about for months. Take a breath, Ryan said. We've talked about this. You had a flare-up last month and it was nothing. The doctor said you're fine. It's the hormones making you anxious again. Olivia pressed her palm harder against her belly. Nothing. No kicks. No flips. The constant gymnastics of the last few weeks had gone terrifyingly silent. This is different, she whispered. I'm soaking through my dress. I can feel it running down my legs. I'm scared, Ryan. He let out a long, put-upon sigh. I'll try to leave early. Take something for the pain and call your OB. I'll be home by 9. It's 7:40, Olivia choked. I don't think I have until 9. You're overreacting again, he said, and hung up. For a long moment she stood there, listening to the dead line. Then another wave of pain hit, white-hot, and her vision flashed gray at the edges. Her internal voice, the one she'd been ignoring for months, spoke up, suddenly sharp and clear. He's not coming. He never comes. Call 911. Olivia's hands were slippery on the phone screen, but she managed to dial. 911, what's your emergency? Her voice shook. I'm pregnant. 8 months. Twins. There's a lot of blood. I can't feel them moving. They asked for the address. She gave it. The luxury building downtown. The one that had always impressed people when she mentioned it at dinner parties. The symbol of the life she was supposed to be grateful for. Are you alone, ma'am? Yes. Can you call your husband? A family member. A broken sound slipped out of her, half laugh, half sob. I've been calling my husband all day. He's busy. Okay, Olivia, the operator said gently. Stay with me. The ambulance is 3 minutes out. Try to sit down if you can." She tried. Her legs gave out halfway. She hit the marble hard, her phone skidding away, the operator's voice suddenly tiny and far away. Olivia's hand found her belly, fingers spread wide. "Please," she whispered. "Please be okay. Please don't leave me." For a heartbeat, she felt one weak flutter, a ghost of movement. Then nothing. The last thought she had before the gray closed in was that she should have left months ago. That busy had always meant choosing something else. That she had begged for scraps and called it love. Sirens howled somewhere below, growing louder. Then everything went dark. The paramedics found her unconscious in a widening pool of blood. Female, late 20s, 32 weeks pregnant. Twins. The younger medic, Sarah, rattled off as they worked. Heavy vaginal bleeding. Likely placental abruption. BP 80/50. She's in shock. They moved fast. IV line, oxygen mask, stabilizing, lifting her onto the gurney. Sarah's eyes bounced over the details. The designer furniture, the sweeping view, the wedding photos on the wall. In one of them, Olivia was laughing at the camera in a lace dress, her hand in a man's. Ryan Parker, tech world golden boy, CEO of Parker Pharma. Handsome in that polished, camera-ready way. The tabloids loved him. The woman bleeding out on the floor did not look like the smiling bride on the wall. In the back of the ambulance, as the siren wailed, Olivia's lashes fluttered. "My babies," she whispered through the mask. "Are they alive?" Sarah checked the portable monitor. 2 tiny heartbeats flickered across the screen. Fast, strained, but there. "They're fighting," she said. "You're all fighters. We're getting you to St. Mary's. They're going to take care of you, okay?" "Call." "Ryan," Olivia breathed. "My husband, Ryan Parker. His number's in my phone." Sarah found it and dialed, putting the call on speaker. It rang 4 times. "Parker," a voice said, annoyed, music and conversation loud in the background. "I told you I'd call you back. Liv, Mr. Parker, this is EMS from Seattle Fire," Sarah cut in, all professionalism. "We're transporting your wife, Olivia Parker, to St. Mary's Medical Center with suspected placental abruption. It's life-threatening for her and the twins. You need to meet us there immediately." There was a pause. A burst of laughter spilled from wherever he was. "How serious is this exactly?" he asked. Sarah's jaw clenched. "Your wife is hemorrhaging," she said flatly. "The babies are in distress. She could die. This is as serious as it gets." "Right," he said. "Okay, I'll try to get there as soon as I can." "Sir, this is not a try situation." But the line clicked dead. Sarah and Olivia locked eyes. The medic didn't say a word, but Olivia saw it there. Disbelief, anger, the confirmation that this was not in her head. He really had just been told his wife might die, and he'd said he'd try. Tears leaked from the corners of Olivia's eyes and slid into her hair as the city lights strobed past the rear windows. At the same time, in a ballroom across town, Alexander Cole was finishing a speech. And that's why Cole Biotech is committed to treatments that not only extend life, but protect quality of life. Thank you. Applause. Camera flashes. Alex stepped away from the podium, tugging at the knot of his bow tie, already thinking about his next meeting, his next initiative, his next fight. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and frowned. Megan. His sister never called during one of his events, unless something was really wrong. He picked up. "Meg? I'm in the middle of—" "I need you at St. Mary's," Dr. Megan Cole said, out of breath. "Now." He straightened. "What happened?" "There's been an emergency. 32 weeks, twins, massive abruption. We're taking her straight to the OR." "Okay, but why do you need me? I'm not exactly qualified to catch babies." Megan hesitated. "She's Olivia Parker," she said. "Ryan Parker's wife." The temperature in his veins dropped. Ryan Parker, Cole Biotech's favorite enemy. 2 years earlier, Parker Pharma had launched a baseless lawsuit accusing Cole Biotech of stealing proprietary research. It had cost Alex $2 million and 6 months of court time to prove it was a lie. The judge had thrown the case out and scolded Parker Pharma for wasting the court's time. Ryan had smiled on the courthouse steps, all teeth and charm, and told reporters, "Sometimes you take a shot. This one didn't land. No hard feelings." Alex had plenty of hard feelings, and when that didn't topple him, there'd been the anonymous tip to regulators questioning Cole's clinical ethics. Another investigation, another exoneration, more damage to his stock price. Ryan Parker played dirty. But Megan's next words punched through the anger. "The baby's heart rates are dropping," she said. "She's been calling him for hours. He's not here. Alex, she might die alone." In an instant, he wasn't in the ballroom anymore. He was 14 again, in a hospital corridor in Boston, staring through a small rectangular window at his mother's room, where a nurse was gently pulling a sheet over her still form. Stage 4 cancer. His father had visited twice in 8 months, too busy saving the company to sit at his wife's bedside. At the moment she died, she'd been alone. Alex had sworn he would never become his father. "I'm on my way," he said, already moving. He handed off his champagne flutes and apologies to bewildered donors, shrugged out of his tuxedo jacket, and walked out into the rain. The operating room was bright and cold, and humming with urgency. Olivia drifted in and out of awareness as they wheeled her in. There were voices, lights, the sensation of someone squeezing her hand. "Olivia, I'm Dr. Megan Cole," said a voice above her. "We're going to get your babies out now. You're bleeding too much, do you understand?" "Yes," she breathed. "Is Ryan here?" Megan's jaw tightened beneath her mask. "Not yet," she said. "But I'm here. I won't leave you." As the anesthesiologist lowered the mask over her face, Olivia had one last clear thought. You can't apologize your way into being loved. You can't shrink yourself small enough to fit inside someone else's priorities. Alexander paced the surgical waiting room, still in his tuxedo pants and open-throated dress shirt, hands shoved into his pockets. He'd spent years imagining how he might someday destroy Ryan Parker. None of those fantasies had involved sitting in a hospital waiting room for the man's wife. The TV on the wall played muted news about some political scandal. No one in the room watched it. Megan appeared in the doorway, scrub-stained, hair tucked under a cap. Tired lines bracketed her mouth. He was across the room in 3 long strides. "Well?" he demanded. "The twins are alive," she said. "Both premature but vigorous. They're in the NICU, a girl and a boy. And her? She lost a lot of blood," Megan said quietly. "Placental abruption, complete separation. Another 20 minutes, and we'd be having a very different conversation." Something knotted in his chest eased a fraction. "But for now, she's stable. She's in recovery. She'll need time." "Where is Parker?" Alex asked. Megan's eyes flashed. "Not here," she bit out. "We called him 3 times during the surgery, straight to voicemail." Alex pulled out his phone. 2 years ago, during the early stages of the lawsuit, Ryan had handed him a business card and said, "Call me anytime you're ready to settle." It had been a taunt. Tonight, Alex used the number. The line picked up on the 3rd ring. "Alex," Ryan slurred slightly. "Little late for business, isn't it?" "Your wife almost died tonight," Alex said. Silence. The noise of the party swelled behind Ryan. "What are you talking about?" "She had a placental abruption," Alex said. "Emergency C-section. Your children are in the NICU. She is in recovery. St. Mary's." There was a longer pause this time. Alex waited for the panic, the shock, the sound of a man bolting for the door. Instead, Ryan said, "How do you even know that? Why are you involved?" "Because I'm here," Alex snapped. "Somebody needed to be. She called you 4 times while she was bleeding on your bathroom floor. You told her she was overreacting and went back to your party." "I was in an important meeting," Ryan shot back. "You don't know what's going on in my marriage. You're trying to use this against me." "Room 518 recovery," Alex said coldly, "in case you feel like meeting your children." He hung up before he said something he couldn't take back. Megan crossed her arms. "Feel better?" "No," Alex said, "because now I know for sure what kind of man he is." "Then what are you going to do?" He looked at the closed door of the recovery area. "I'm going to make sure she doesn't wake up alone." Olivia surfaced slowly, as if from deep underwater. Her first conscious sensation was the weight of the blanket on her legs. The second was emptiness. Her hands flew to her abdomen and found it flat, bandaged, hollow. "Easy," a calm voice said. "It's okay." Her throat was dry, her voice a rasp. "My babies," she croaked. "Where are my babies?" A nurse appeared at her bedside. Her badge read, "Jenna Morales." "They're in the NICU," Jenna said with a warm smile. "A little early, but strong. A girl and a boy. They're doing very well for 32 weeks. Tears prickled behind Olivia's eyes. "Can I see them?" "As soon as you're a bit more stable, yes." "How long was I out?" "About an hour since you left the OR, Jenna said. "The surgery went very smoothly. Dr. Cole did an amazing job." The next question rolled off Olivia's tongue before she could stop it. A reflex burned in by 4 years of marriage. "Where's Ryan?" Jenna's smile faltered for the barest second. It was such a tiny crack that someone less desperate might have missed it. "I'll check on that for you," she said. "You have a visitor, though. He's been here since you got out of surgery. Do you feel up to it?" Olivia blinked. "My mother? My sister?" "Not family," Jenna said. "But he seems to care a lot." She stepped aside. A tall man stood in the doorway, shoulders filling the frame. Early 40s, dark hair slightly mussed, bow tie loosened and hanging around his neck. She knew that face. Every business magazine in the world knew that face. "You're..." Her brain was foggy, chasing a name through anesthesia and exhaustion. "Alexander Cole." "Alex," he said, stepping in, suddenly looking almost shy. "Hi." "What are you doing here?" Olivia asked, genuinely bewildered. "You don't even know me." "No," he agreed. "I don't." "But my sister was your surgeon. She called me. She said you were alone and I have some personal history with that. I couldn't stay away." "Personal history?" she echoed. Alex pulled the visitor's chair closer to her bed. "My mother died in a hospital room when I was 14, he said quietly. Stage 4 cancer. My father was at a conference in Singapore, closing a crucial deal. My sister and I were at school. By the time they called us, she'd been gone for hours." Olivia swallowed. "I'm so sorry." "I can't go back and sit with her," he continued. "But I can sit with you. And I can promise you this. No matter what happens next, you're not crazy for wanting your husband to show up." Her eyes stung. Jenna slipped out, leaving them alone. Olivia stared at the ceiling to keep the tears from spilling. "Did you call him?" she asked. Alex's jaw tightened. "Yes." "And?" "He said he'd try to get here." Olivia let out a laugh that sounded nothing like a laugh. "Of course he did." "I'm sorry," Alex said. 3 simple words. No excuses. No minimizing. No, but he's under a lot of stress. Just an acknowledgement that what had happened to her was wrong. Olivia broke. Ugly sobs shook her chest, hot tears sliding into her hair. She cried for the blood on the marble floor, for her tiny babies in plastic boxes, for all the times she'd apologized for being lonely. Alex didn't say, "It'll be okay." He didn't tell her she was strong or lucky, or brave. He just sat there, silent and steady, a solid presence while she fell apart. 10 minutes later, the door burst open. Ryan Parker strode into the room, tie loosened, suit immaculate, hair perfect. He smelled faintly of expensive cologne and champagne. "Liv," he said, eyes going straight to her, then narrowing when he saw Alex in the chair beside her bed. "What the hell is he doing here?" Alex rose slowly, unfolding to his full height. "I was here," he said simply. Ryan's gaze snapped back to Olivia. "You look awful," he said, as if that were helpful. "Why didn't you tell me it was this bad?" "I did," she said. Her voice came out soft but clear. "Several times." "You were panicking again," he said. "You've been doing that all pregnancy. I can't drop a multi-million-dollar deal every time you think something might be wrong." Even now, even after almost dying, some part of Olivia flinched and started to fold, and then stopped. "I almost died tonight," she said. "Don't be dramatic," he said automatically. "You had a complication. The doctors handled it." "You're fine. You weren't here," Olivia said. Ryan exhaled hard through his nose, as if she were a difficult client. "I told you I would try to leave early. I got here as soon as I could." "You got here 3 hours after surgery," Alex said, his tone still calm, but edged in steel. "And you only came after her surgeon's brother called you and spelled out that your wife almost died on your bathroom floor while you were drinking with investors." Ryan ignored him. "Liv, he's just trying to turn you against me," Ryan said. "He's been gunning for me for years. You know that." Olivia stared at her husband, at the man who had once held her hand on a beach in California and whispered about their future, at the man who had missed her first ultrasound for a last-minute meeting, their anniversary dinner for a networking event, the gender reveal because he couldn't get a flight back in time. "He didn't have to turn me against you," she said quietly. "You did that all on your own." Ryan's phone buzzed in his pocket. He glanced at it automatically. Olivia watched his face soften, just for a moment, at whatever he saw on the screen. She knew that look. She'd seen it late at night when his phone lit up, and he smiled at something in the dark, thinking she was asleep. She'd seen it when he'd stepped into the hallway to take calls that couldn't wait. Her heart dropped. "Who is she?" Olivia asked. Ryan froze. "What?" "The person who just texted you," Olivia said. "The one who makes you smile like that." "What's her name, Ryan?" He shifted, suddenly stiff. "This is not the time." "Tell me the truth," she said, and surprised herself with how steady she sounded. "For once in your life, just tell me the truth." The heart monitor beeped steadily. Alex stood very still, watching. Ryan looked at the floor. "You're being paranoid again," he said. "This is the medication talking. We can discuss this when you're—" "Ryan," her voice sharpened. "How long have you been cheating on me?" Silence. 5 beats. 6. 6 months, he muttered. Olivia closed her eyes. She did the math. She'd been 1 month pregnant. "So while I was carrying your children," she said, each word careful and precise, "you were sleeping with someone else." "It wasn't like that," he said quickly. "It just happened. Things between us were strained. All you wanted to talk about was the babies, and appointments, and nursery colors. I felt shut out. Sophie was just easy to talk to." "Sophie," Olivia repeated, the name like a punch. "Your executive assistant." Ryan didn't answer, which was answer enough. Images flashed up. Sophie Blake, 28, immaculate suit dresses, an ever-present iPad, always hovering near Ryan at company events. Olivia had brought her homemade cookies at Christmas, had asked politely about her parents, her hobbies, complimented her shoes. "Last March," Olivia said numbly, "the pharma conference in Hawaii. You were gone a week. I packed your suitcase, put your favorite blue swim trunks in, slipped a note in the pocket that said, I loved you. You said the flights were exhausting. You barely called me. She was there with you, wasn't she?" Ryan's silence was heavy. "Yes," he said finally. "But it wasn't supposed to be anything serious. It was a mistake." "How many times did you make that same mistake?" she asked. "Olivia, do you love her?" she asked. He stared at her, jaw flexing. "I don't know," he said. "Do you love me?" "Of course I do," he said too fast. She waited. Nothing. His silence wrapped around them, louder than any answer. The part of her that had spent years begging him to choose her, that had written off her own instincts as crazy, simply snapped. "Get out," she said. Ryan blinked. "What?" "Leave," Olivia said, her voice suddenly icy. "I don't want you here." "You're not thinking clearly," he replied. "The anesthesia. I have never thought more clearly in my life," she said. "Get out. You can't be serious. We have a life, a company, children. Children who will grow up knowing what it looks like when their mother accepts crumbs," she cut in. "I won't model that for them. Not anymore." Alex spoke for the first time in several minutes. "She's asked you 3 times to leave," he said. "You should listen." Ryan rounded on him. "This is your fault. You come in here with your bleeding heart stories and poison my wife against me. Your wife almost bled to death tonight while you were clinking glasses," Alex snapped, his own temper finally flaring. "She called you 4 times, and you told her she was overreacting. You didn't need any help from me to destroy your marriage. You did that all by yourself." Ryan stepped closer to the bed, ignoring him. "You're going to regret this, Liv," he said. "You're emotional. You just had major surgery. I'm not walking out on my family because you're having a moment." For the first time, Olivia looked at him without hope, without fear, just done. "The only thing I regret," she said quietly, "is not leaving sooner." Ryan looked between her and Alex, calculating. That was what he did, in business and in life. Ran the numbers, judged the odds, looked for the win. He seemed to realize there wasn't one here. "My lawyers will be in touch," he said stiffly. Then he turned and walked out. The door shut behind him with a soft click. Olivia started shaking, not from fear this time, but from the sudden release of holding everything together. Alex sat back down. "You were incredible," he said softly. "I have no idea what I'm doing," she whispered. "Welcome to the club," he said. "Nobody does. We just keep trying to do a little better than yesterday." Over the next 4 days, the hospital became Olivia's entire world. She shuffled down the hallway in hospital socks and a robe. Ryan's old t-shirt swapped for shapeless gowns. Jenna showed her how to ease into a chair without tearing her stitches. Every few hours, once her vitals were stable, they wheeled her to the NICU. In a softly lit room full of beeping machines and tiny miracles, she met her children. Her daughter, Lily, 3 pounds, 12 ounces, was all dark hair and fierce little fists. Her son, Noah, 4 pounds, 1 ounce, had a button nose exactly like Olivia's baby photos, and a habit of screwing his face up in a way that made Jenna joke he was already skeptical of the world. They were covered in wires and tubes, encased in plastic, but to Olivia, they were perfect. She slipped her hand through the porthole of Lily's incubator on that first visit. Lily's fingers, impossibly small, curled around her mother's and squeezed with surprising strength. "I'm not going to let you grow up thinking this is what love looks like," Olivia whispered. "I promise." Ryan came to see the twins twice. The first time, he stayed 10 minutes, took a few photos for his social media, and left for a board call. The second time, he showed up with flowers and a speech about working on things, which ended abruptly when Olivia asked him to leave if he couldn't say the words, "I'm sorry," without a qualifier. Alex, on the other hand, came every day. He didn't fuss over her or hover. He brought decent coffee and the occasional contraband pastry. He sat beside her in the NICU, watching Lily sleep and Noah kick, and asked about her work before the pregnancy, about her dreams before Ryan. "I used to be a school counselor," she said one afternoon, eyes on Lily's monitor. "Middle school. I loved it. Then Ryan's company took off, and I took on the supportive CEO wife role for a while. I told myself it was temporary, that when things settled down, I'd go back." "They never settled down," Alex guessed. She huffed out a humorless laugh. "No. The more successful he got, the less room there was for me to be anything but an extension of him." "And now?" he asked. She looked at her sleeping children. "Now I think I want to help women like me," she said slowly. "The ones who think being minimized and gaslit is just having a demanding husband. The ones who call 911 from their bathroom floor because the person who promised to show up doesn't." "That sounds like important work," Alex said. Jenna came in on the 4th morning with a stack of papers. "Good news," she said. "You're medically cleared to discharge today." "Oh." Olivia's heart fluttered with something that was not entirely excitement. Going home. Home, where every object would remind her of what had shattered. Home, where Ryan could walk in whenever he wanted. The idea made her chest tighten. Jenna saw it. "You don't have to go back there," she said gently. "There are women's shelters, short-term rentals, friends." "I don't want to go to a shelter with premature twins," Olivia said. "My mom's in Florida, my sister's in Boston, my best friend's on night shifts across town, and I'm still figuring out how to sit down without crying." A knock on the door cut off any further explanation. Alex stepped in, carrying takeout from a good sandwich place. "What's wrong?" he asked, reading the room in one glance. "She's going home today," Jenna said. "And she doesn't want to go home." Alex set the food down and turned to Olivia. "Then don't," he said. She blinked. "It's not that simple." "There's an empty guest house on my property in Marin County," he said. "Separate from the main house, 3 bedrooms, full kitchen. It's been sitting unused for 6 months. Stay there." She stared at him. "Alex, I can't just move into your guest house. We barely know each other." "You know that I answer my phone when it matters," he said, "which is more than I can say for your husband." "Ex-husband," she corrected automatically, then realized that legally that wasn't true yet. "Almost ex. I'm not asking for anything," he said. "No strings, no expectations. Just let me offer you a safe place to land while you figure out your next step." "People will talk," she murmured. "People talked when my company got sued for something I didn't do," he said. "They'll talk no matter what. Let them." Jenna cleared her throat. "I'm just going to check on the twins," she said, slipping out and giving them privacy. "Why are you doing this?" Olivia asked. Alex blew out a slow breath, looking suddenly older. "Because I know what it feels like to grow up watching your mother blame herself for someone else's cruelty," he said. "My father had affairs. Plural. Everyone knew. He made my mom feel crazy whenever she confronted him, told her she was insecure, dramatic, needy." Olivia's throat tightened. The script was painfully familiar. "She died still making excuses for him," Alex went on. "I can't fix that. But when I see the same pattern, the gaslighting, the blame shifting, the way he made you doubt your own reality, I can name it. It's abuse, Olivia. Just because he never raised a hand doesn't make it less real." The word hung between them. Abuse. She had never let herself use it. Abuse was bruises and broken bones, not missed dinners and silent phones, not eye rolls and "you're overreacting again," not shivering on a hospital bed while your husband argued about his schedule. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay," he echoed. "Yes," she said, swallowing hard. I'll stay. Just for a while. Until I can stand on my own feet again." "You're already standing," he said softly. "You just don't realize it yet." The guest house in Marin County, 2 hours north of San Francisco, tucked into a wooded hillside, looked like it belonged in a coffee table book. Large windows framed views of the bay. The living room smelled faintly of cedar. The kitchen was stocked with groceries, herbal tea, and a note in Megan's looping handwriting. "Welcome. You're safe here. Call me for anything, medical or otherwise." Megan Olivia cried when she saw the nursery. She hadn't asked for that. But one of the rooms had been transformed into a soft gray cocoon, 2 identical cribs, a rocking chair by the window, tiny clothes folded into drawers. Alex hovered in the hallway, suddenly awkward. "My sister insisted," he said. "She told me what babies need. I mostly just moved boxes." "It's perfect," Olivia whispered. 2 weeks later, Lily and Noah came home. They were bigger now, cheeks filling out, eyes more alert. Noah stared at everything with intense curiosity. Lily had a habit of curling herself against Olivia's chest, seeking her heartbeat. Alex was there the day Olivia carried them over the threshold of the guest house. He held the diaper bag, opened doors, quietly assembled the swing that somehow required an engineering degree. He never tried to take over. He changed diapers at 3 in the morning when she was too tired to see straight. He rocked fussy babies, while she grabbed the first uninterrupted shower she'd had in months. He listened when she dissolved into tears one evening, because Lily had spit up all over the only clean shirt she owned that didn't feel like a tent. "You're not weak for needing help," he said that night, as they sat on the couch, both holding sleeping babies. "You're human." "You're a billionaire CEO," she countered. "Don't you have better things to do than get peed on?" "Honestly," he said, "no." For a brief, shimmering stretch of weeks, Olivia's world shrank, in a good way. Feedings, naps, doctor appointments, short walks around the property when her incision stopped screaming. She started an online course in trauma-informed counseling, chipping away at lectures during nap times. In the quiet, she began to hear herself again. She also heard from Ryan. The first contact came in the form of a bouquet of white roses left at St. Mary's after she'd already left, with a note that said, "Let's fix this." R. Then the texts. "Where are you? We need to talk. You can't just disappear with my children. You're overreacting, Liv." Again. Finally, the legal notice arrived. Alex brought in the mail one afternoon and froze when he saw the return address. "From your husband's attorney," he said. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened it. The language was formal, cold, full of hereby and whereas, and petition for joint custody. "They want 50-50, Olivia said numbly. "He wants equal time." "He wants control," Alex said. The next day, Ryan showed up in person. Not at the guest house. He didn't know where that was. But at St. Mary's, where Olivia had brought the twins for a follow-up appointment. He was waiting in the lobby when she came out of the pediatrician's office, a man in an expensive suit at his side. "Olivia," Ryan said, standing, "we need to talk about custody." The man stepped forward. "Mrs. Parker, I'm Daniel Harris, Mr. Parker's attorney." She shifted Noah's carrier higher on her arm. Lily slept in the stroller, a pink hat covering her dark hair. "You served me papers," she said faintly. "I got the message. We're hoping to resolve this amicably," Harris said. "But if necessary, we're prepared to petition for joint physical custody and to raise questions about your current living situation." "My what?" she asked. "You've relocated to an undisclosed address with a man you've known less than a month," Harris said. "That may raise concerns about stability and judgment." Olivia's spine went cold, then hot. "You mean the man who sat by my bed when my husband couldn't be bothered to leave his party?" she asked. "That living situation?" Marital issues and parental fitness are separate matters, Harris replied smoothly. Are they? A new voice cut in. Alex stepped out from a row of chairs where he'd been sitting, out of sight but within earshot. He looked perfectly at home in the hospital lobby, confident, watchful, dangerous in a very calm way. Harris's eyes flicked to him. Mr. Cole, he said warily. This is between me and my wife, Ryan snapped. Your wife, Alex said softly, who almost died alone because you ignored 4 emergency calls. He turned to Harris. If you pursue this, I'll personally fund Olivia's legal team, the best family lawyers in Seattle. We'll subpoena phone records, hospital logs, 911 tapes, witness statements from paramedics and nurses. We'll put on the record that your client was at a cocktail party while his wife hemorrhaged on his bathroom floor. Ryan's face flushed. You're blackmailing me. No, Alex said. I'm spelling out the consequences of your choices. Harris adjusted his tie. Public smear campaigns can cut both ways, Mr. Cole. With what? Alex asked. Speculating about where Olivia is living? Meanwhile, we have documented abandonment during a medical emergency and a 6-month workplace affair with a direct subordinate. How do you think that'll play with your board, Ryan? With your investors in Singapore? Ryan opened his mouth, then shut it. He looked at Olivia. You're really going to let him do this? He demanded. Weaponize our private life? You brought your lawyer to a pediatric follow-up, Olivia said quietly. You did that. Not me. She took a breath, feeling something solid settle into place inside her. Here's what's going to happen, she said. I'm going to hire my own lawyer. We're going to negotiate a custody agreement that is fair to the only people who matter in this, Lily and Noah. And I'm done apologizing for expecting you to show up for your own children. She turned the stroller toward the exit. Liv, Ryan called. This isn't over. She didn't look back. It is for me, she said. 6 months later, the gray stone facade of the King County Courthouse towered over Olivia, like the set of someone else's movie. She stood at the base of the steps, smoothing the front of her navy dress. The wind tugged at her hair. People streamed past, attorneys with briefcases, couples with tight faces, a teenager in a hoodie being hustled along by his aunt. Ready? Asked Jennifer Lawson, her attorney, a woman with sharp eyes and a surprisingly kind smile. No, Olivia said honestly, but let's do it anyway. Inside, the courtroom was cool and formal. Ryan sat at one table in a tailored suit, Sophie beside him. She looked exhausted, like the glamour of being with a CEO had worn off quickly, once diapers and lawyers got involved. Olivia didn't feel anger when she looked at them, just a profound sense of relief that she was not sitting in Sophie's chair. Jennifer presented their case clearly. Documented lack of response during a life-threatening emergency, a 6-month affair with an employee during a high-risk pregnancy, Olivia's role as the twins' primary caregiver since birth, Ryan's sporadic and often inconveniently timed visits. Harris argued for joint custody. The judge, a woman in her 60s with reading glasses perched on her nose, was unimpressed. Mr. Parker, she said, peering over her glasses, the law favors children having both parents in their lives, when both parents have demonstrated they can be consistently present and safe. You have not done much to convince this court of that. Ryan shifted in his seat. In light of the evidence, the judge continued, physical custody of the minor children, Lily Parker and Noah Parker, will be awarded to their mother, Mrs. Parker. Mr. Parker will have supervised visitation every other Saturday for 4 hours. Supervision may be lifted when the children reach age 3, contingent on consistent visitation and the recommendation of a court-appointed evaluator. She shuffled some papers. As for marital assets, she went on, given Mr. Parker's marital misconduct and his abandonment of his wife during a documented medical crisis, a 60-40 split in Mrs. Parker's favor is appropriate. Harris opened his mouth. Your Honor, that's generous, the judge cut in. Given the circumstances, divorce granted, court is adjourned. The sound of the gavel hitting the block was quieter than Olivia expected. It still felt like an earthquake. Outside, on the courthouse steps, she inhaled deeply. The air tasted different. Lighter. Alex was waiting by the curb, leaning against his car. He'd sat in the back of the courtroom, unobtrusive, letting her fight her own battle. But his presence had been a steady anchor. How do you feel? He asked. She surprised herself by smiling. Like I just put down a backpack I didn't know I'd been carrying for years, she said. I'm tired, but I can stand up straight. They started down the steps together. What now? He asked. I enrolled in a degree program, she said. Trauma and family counseling. I want to start a nonprofit, a kind of safe house, not just physically but emotionally, for women who don't even realize they're being abused because no one's hitting them. He considered that. I'd like to help with that, he said. If you'll let me. Funding? Board. Whatever you need. I figured you might say that, she said wryly. I'll take you up on it. But first, I think I need to date myself for a while. Smart, he said. She took a breath. And then maybe, she added, nervous and hopeful all at once. When I've figured out who I am again, we could get coffee. Real coffee. Not hospital vending machine sludge. His smile started small and spread slowly, lighting up his whole face. I'd like that, he said. Not a date, not yet. Not yet, she agreed. 6 more months passed. In that time, the guest house became less of a sanctuary and more of a home. Lily toddled. Noah climbed everything he could reach. Olivia learned how to write papers while simultaneously refereeing toddler disputes over the same blue truck. Alex learned how to assemble tiny furniture with minimal swearing, how to rock a teething baby for 3 hours straight, and exactly how many goldfish crackers fit in a toddler's palm. One chilly October evening, after the twins had finally crashed and the dishes were done, Olivia and Alex sat on the back deck wrapped in blankets, watching the lights flicker across the bay. I need to ask you something, Olivia said. Alex set down his mug. Okay. Lily and Noah. She hesitated. They don't know Ryan. Not really. He stopped coming after the 4th supervised visit. They know his name from the court papers, more than from actual memory. But they know you. He swallowed. Liv, they run to you, she said. They cry for you at night. Noah falls asleep on your shoulder. Lily brings you every book she likes 5 times in a row. To them, you're already dad, even if they don't call you that yet. His eyes shone in the dim light. I don't want to erase their history, she said. I'll never pretend Ryan didn't exist. He gave me them. I'll always be grateful for that. But I want their legal reality to match their emotional one. She took a breath that felt like stepping off a cliff. If you want to, she said, I'd like you to adopt them. Officially. To be their father on paper, not just in practice. For a moment, Alex didn't move. Then he reached for her hand. These last 12 months, he said slowly, have been the best of my life. And I've done some objectively cool things. But nothing comes close to Lily refusing to sleep unless I'm the one reading Goodnight Moon. Nothing comes close to Noah's face when he sees me walk in a room. A tear slipped free and tracked down his cheek. He let it fall. I love them, he said simply. Completely. And I love you. So yes, if you're sure, yes, I would be honored to be their dad in every way. Her breath hitched. I am sure. He stood up abruptly, pacing the length of the deck once, like he had too much emotion in his muscles to sit still. Then he stopped, turned, and dropped to one knee. Her heart somersaulted. Olivia Parker, he said, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. You make me want to be better, Not richer. Not more successful. Just better. I can't promise I won't screw up. I can't promise life will always be easy. But I can promise this. I will show up. For you. For Lily and Noah. Every day. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. He flipped the box open. A simple, elegant ring caught the porch light. "Will you marry me?" he asked. She thought of bleeding on the bathroom floor, of waking up alone except for a stranger's brother who chose to be there, of Lily's tiny hand squeezing her finger, of Noah's laugh, of the way Alex put his phone away during dinner and actually listened. "Yes," she said, laughing and crying at once. 1,000 times, yes. He slid the ring onto her finger, stood, and kissed her. The bay lights blurred and brightened behind her closed eyes. Somewhere inside the house, one of the twins started to fuss. Alex broke the kiss with a soft huff of laughter. "And that," he said, "is our cue." "Welcome to parenthood," she teased. "Best job I ever had," he answered. 18 months later, their kitchen in Sausalito looked like a chaos tornado had passed through, which, in a way, it had. "Daddy, more pancakes!" Noah yelled from his booster seat, syrup on his chin, curls sticking up in every direction. "Use your inside voice, buddy," Alex said, flipping another pancake onto a plate. "And what's the magic word?" "Please," Noah sang. Lily held up a crumpled piece of paper. "Mama, look! It's us!" Olivia, 7 months pregnant and moving slowly, took the page. 4 stick figures smiled back at her in different colors. "Tell me about it," she said. "That's you." Lily pointed to a figure with long, scribbly hair. "And that's Daddy. That's me. That's Noah. And that," she pointed to a tiny dot, "is the baby in your tummy." "We're going to need a bigger fridge," Olivia said, carefully sliding the drawing under the magnet holding up the latest daycare newsletter. The front of the stainless steel door was already a gallery of crayon masterpieces and ultrasound photos. Alex brought over a plate of pancakes and kissed her cheek. "How's baby Megan doing this morning?" he asked, resting a hand on her belly. "Either she's training for the Olympics, or she really likes maple syrup," Olivia said, feeling a kick under his palm. They'd named their 3rd child after Megan Cole, the doctor who had saved Olivia's life, and, indirectly, brought Alex into it. The doorbell rang. "I'll get it," Alex said. A few moments later, he came back holding a large, official-looking envelope. "From the county courthouse," he said. Olivia's pulse skipped. She wiped her hands on a dish towel and took it. Her fingers shook as she slid it open and unfolded the papers. Her eyes scanned the first page, then widened. "Well?" Alex demanded, his calm CEO persona nowhere in sight. "It's official," she said, her voice breaking into a laugh. "The adoption went through. You are now, in the eyes of the state of California, the legal father of Lily Grace Cole and Noah James Cole." For a heartbeat, he just stood there. Then he exhaled, a shaky, disbelieving sound, and scooped both children up, one on each arm, even though they were far too big to be carried like that. "Hey!" Noah squealed, delighted. "Daddy!" "Daddy's crying," Lily observed, patting his face. He laughed, tears streaming freely now. "These are happy tears, kiddo." "Happy tears," Lily repeated solemnly, as if cataloging a new kind of weather. Olivia stepped closer, laying her hand on Alex's back, feeling their entire messy, beautiful little family breathing together. On the wall above the table hung a framed photo from their small backyard wedding. Olivia in a simple white dress, barefoot in the grass. Alex in a navy suit, his tie already loosened by the time the photographer caught them laughing. Lily and Noah between them, mouths open mid-giggle. Below the frame, on a small wooden plaque, were the words, "Family isn't always blood. It's the people who show up. Olivia looked at them now, her husband, her children, her belly rounding with a new life, and felt something swell in her chest that had nothing to do with pregnancy. Peace. A year and a half earlier, she had almost died on a cold bathroom floor, while the man who vowed to love her ignored her calls. Today, she stood in a sun-lit kitchen, surrounded by sticky fingers and terrible crayon portraits, and a man who showed up for 3 a.m. fevers and daycare forms, and all the unglamorous moments in between. Ryan had given her Lily and Noah. She would always be grateful for that. Alex had given them a father, and he'd given her something even more important, a partner. Not perfect, not flawless, just someone who chose her every day in 100 small ways. She'd learned the hard way that you can't make someone choose you by needing less, that no amount of apologizing will turn indifference into love. That busy is just another word for not a priority. What you can do is choose yourself. The day she did that, everything changed. The right people stepped in, the ones who answered when she called, who believed her when she said something was wrong, who sat in the quiet chair beside her bed and said, "You're not crazy, and you're not alone." Olivia wrapped her arms around Alex and the kids, fitting herself into the middle of the tangle of limbs. "Mommy," Noah said into her shoulder, "can we have more pancakes?" She laughed. "Absolutely. Daddy?" "On it," Alex said, setting the kids down and reaching for the batter. Real happily ever afters, she thought as she watched him, didn't look like glass slippers and fireworks. They looked like dirty dishes and toy-strewn floors and someone who kept showing up to do the work with you. And that, she decided, was better than any fairy tale. Olivia's story isn't about a billionaire swooping in to save a damsel in distress. It's about a woman who almost died in a life she'd been taught to be grateful for, and who chose to live differently instead. It's about naming emotional abuse for what it is, even when there are no visible bruises. It's about the terrifying, liberating decision to walk away from someone who keeps choosing everything but you. Most of all, it's about the quiet, powerful love that proves itself not with grand speeches, but with small consistencies. Picking up the phone, showing up at the hospital, rocking the baby at 3 a.m., listening when you say, "Something is wrong," and believing you. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who see you at your worst and stay. If Olivia's journey made your heart race, ache, and finally breathe easier, I'd love for you to share this story with someone who might need to be reminded they're not too emotional or too demanding for wanting real love. Save it to come back to on the days you need courage to choose yourself. Subscribe. Follow if you'd like more long, emotional stories of heartbreak, healing, and second chances. And if you're comfortable sharing, which moment hit you the hardest? Olivia on the bathroom floor, the hospital confrontation, the courthouse steps, or the pancakes in that messy kitchen? Tell me in the comments. I'm listening.